Welcome to the Leadership Launchpad Project, brains behind the business. It's your front row seat to the business elite.
Welcome to the Leadership Launchpad Project. I'm Rob Kalborowski, and as always, the yang to my yin is here, Susan Hobson. Susan, how are you?
I am doing fabulous. I'm so excited for our guest and this conversation. Hint, hint, leak, leak. Somewhere around stoicism today. So yeah, let's get this party started, shall we?
Yeah, and so obviously I met Kyle before, so I have a quote here today
All
from
right.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius,
Ooh.
who's one of the fathers, I suppose, of Stoicism.
Mhm.
And he says, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them.
I love this
With that,
quote.
Yeah, I don't
yes.
probably do that as much as I should, but try. Probably in the office more than I should be, but
And with that voice, there's our special guest today, the founder of Backup Parachute, Kyle Miller's with us. Kyle, how are you?
very good, very good. Nice to be with you guys. Yeah, like you said, I've kind of stoicism has been a big part of my life. I think that you see a lot of these quotes in society, and I think it's kind of with us. You don't really know it's from Stoic quotes, but I kind of caught on to stoicism in my early 20s, and really it just hit, and I was like, oh, that's it. And I've been really kind of a student of it since then, and it's really helped kind of inform my path through life, how I run my business, how I raise my kids, just kind of a good North Star that I shoot for. Like I said, I don't always hit it, but it's good to, like I said, a good North Star to aim to. So
Kyle, tell
Totally.
us,
And
some of that
yeah, we want to
backstory.
hear more about that journey through life. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about you and maybe give us some perspective on how Stoicism impacts the way you lead and run your business.
yeah, so at the end of the day, I've been a software engineer for 25 years. So that's kind of been the underpinning of everything. I'm the CEO of my company, but really I think of myself more as like the chief engineer. That's kind of what I really like solving problems and just building stuff. I build it with software today. Hopefully, I'm pretty close to being done with the software stuff and done so well there that I can start my woodworking business and just build tables and kind of get out of the office a little bit. But that's kind of been the underpinning. So I've started out in tech, and then early on I started a consultancy with a couple buddies. We did that for a long time. So I've worked at every kind of manner of company: big, small, tall, wide, Fortune 500, Fortune 100, hedge funds, military, had secret clearance for a bit, was in a bunker deploying some things, and governments, all kinds of stuff. So my passion these days is I really again, I like building stuff, but I like helping smaller businesses and founders and startups kind of really, they make such bad choices and they kind of get screwed. I don't think it's by like unscrupulous people a lot. I think it's more just uninformed, or like people, they get excited like, oh yeah, I could totally do that for you. But it's like the project path. It starts off great, everything's good, and then you kind of get in that like trough of disillusionment and things kind of fall apart. So I really enjoy I've done a lot of big company stuff, but I really enjoy working with like smaller companies. So I founded Backup Parachute in 2012. I started as a consultancy, but really knew that I was going to build some SaaS platforms and kind of run those. I've been building software for other people so long. I wanted to really focus on doing it for me and how I wanted to do it, and what I wanted to do that for. So I've done that, launched a couple platforms, done really well with one of them, sold it, got a couple commas, was really good. So now I'm just kind of trying to transition more, and I'm still writing code for me, but helping companies, advisory work, and kind of doing like fractional CTO stuff to help people so they can, get over their tech problems, right, and kind of get things back towards that North Star. And like I said, I use Stoicism a lot to do that. I think that it's been a big help because it's all about mindset, right? And you just gotta really focus. And the big one is just like focus on what you can control. I think too many people, there's like, especially in business and with technology, there's so many choices and there's so many ways to do things, and people kind of get stymied by choice. And it's like you got to just take a step back, keep things simple. We get things way too complex in our society, so just like be simple, kind of drive like that. So that's a quick 5 minutes on me.
I want to dig into some of this that you just referenced at the start of this backstory in terms
Okay.
of deploying shit from a bunker, you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I was down there, the guys had their M16s, they didn't know what I was doing. I was like, man, I hope no alarms go off. I'm getting shot if it does. But yeah, it was the code we wrote wasn't secret, but the data was, so we had to go like on site into the bunker and do the whole thing. Yeah.
Wow. What do you feel like that taught you in terms of your leadership journey?
I mean, you gotta get it right. You gotta get it right the first time. No messing around there for sure. Yeah, I mean, my company name is Backup Parachute Software because for a long time, I just kind of get drug into, oh no, we have a problem. We were going to do this and the guy's backed out, or we've got 3 months to go, help save it. Right. So I kind of was this like the backup option. This is like, if everything's broke, what are we going to do? And so that was kind of, and that was purely referral. I just kept getting, the phone would ring and it's like kind of like the bat phone kind of situation. Nope. And I have to go solve that. So just getting thrown into unpredictable environments, unpredictable people. You got teams kind of in chaos and you got to really like level set everybody. Let's take a step back. What's super important, cut off the stuff that's not, and then go. So that's kind of been, yeah. Didn't really plan on doing that. That wasn't like a career path you plan for. Just
No.
I'm a business guy. Phone rings, I answer it. Hey, let's go. So that's kind of where we end up. Backup. The last few years have been a little more peaceful because I've been kind of focused on more on my SaaS platforms, less on saving other people's businesses. But I still help in an advisory role. I'm a little more particular. I try not to get too into such bad situations if I can. I'm a little more picky with who I work with, but so yeah, trying to be a little less stressed out, raise these kids, spend some time with them. So
I feel like it's such a metaphor for a startup environment, though, isn't it? Right? Like in
it
terms of
is
when
chaos. I mean, it's just like unmitigated chaos, and you got to try to focus that as much as possible if you can. It's tough for sure.
So what are
Kyle, one thing you mentioned, right, is how you've focused a lot on your mindset. Like, what are some of the top mindset tips that you've had that have really helped you through your career?
Um, I think consistency is a big one. I really focus on doing things consistently. I think people they they go to Amazon, they buy the books. Oh, I'm gonna this new management thing, and they start it, and you get a couple weeks in, and it just stops, right? So I think consistency is a big one. I think the other one, and with consistency, I think I really focus on just doing a little bit better every day, right? If you can do like 1 or 2% better every day over a long period, that ramps up to a lot. Some people aren't willing to take the sacrifice of like, well, I'm going to start this thing. I'm going to start doing push-ups today. And it's a week later and they haven't seen any results and they're like, screw this, I'm done, right? You got to really, sometimes those things take a while before you can notice them, but then it becomes big, right? So you got to have that consistency and to just be able to like, I know this, it's tough, but you got to get up, you got to do it every day, be a professional and like just do that work. I'm a big believer in the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. That's like a big thing in my life. So I think people get set on it's got to be perfect before I can launch it or do anything with it. And I absolutely feel the opposite way. I think you got to take a couple big steps, get it out there, and then just iterate on it. And like I said, make it better every day. And that's a huge one. You get just doing something, you can get so much results from just even little steps. I think that's really kind of that iterative, just constant, continuous development and improvement is what has really drove me for the last probably, like I said, 20 years. Really helped. In technology, it's a big thing. A lot of people talk about it. I don't think a lot of companies do it as much as they say they do. And I think that, you can tell pretty quickly. They're like, oh yeah, we believe in all this stuff. And you get in there and it's just, you're like, oof, it's kind of a disaster. So I like to walk the walk if I can. So I try. I'm not perfect, obviously.
I feel like you've got a lot of experience getting in and working with these companies, these startup companies that are obviously on the struggle bus in terms of the chaos that you've described. So what do you feel like are some of those biggest, most classic mistakes that you see these new founders making, right? When they're actually in startup mode?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is that waiting for perfection. They're like, oh, I've got this thing and I'm doing it. And they keep cycling and they can't get past. You just got to get it out there and get it moving. That's a huge one. It's like that paralysis of, well,
Analysis
it's not
paralysis.
perfect. I can't let anybody see it. They're going to laugh at me, when in fact, no one cares. They're too busy doing their own stuff to even really see it, right? So you get it out there, iterate on it, and then all of a sudden you get it to a point where it's finally it. So that just, you got to move. One of the Stoic quotes, like, perfect is the enemy of good, right? You can't wait. You got to go. And then the other one is like, another one I see a lot too is motion versus progress. People doing stuff. I'm doing stuff. Look at all the stuff I'm doing, but you're not really progressing to where you need to be. It's busy work, and it's not critical, not focusing on critical, actually important things to move. So those are, and then one I come to when I work with businesses that are not in startup mode, but that have been around a little bit and they're trying to scale. So we did good. We got it out. Cool. We got some customers. Cool. Now we want to go to that next level. Like, we've always done it that way, or that's how we've done it in the past, and not willing to see that they need to pivot. Or, a lot of guys I deal with, you have a founder, he's super passionate. He's the first guy there, right? So he makes the sales guides and all this stuff. And you get a few years in, and some people are a little hesitant to like kind of change his baby, and they don't want to talk up, but you can see that it like needs to change. So that kind of stuff. Well, that's how I was trained to do it, so that's just how I'm going to do it. And I see some companies struggle with that, being able to get over that hump and kind of scale to the next level. They got to be willing to kind of have those hard talks and be like, well, okay, that's how we did it. Cool. But now we're here, and now we got to do it maybe a different way. So those are some big things I see a lot. A lot of scar tissue. I've got a lot of scar tissue from that. That stuff you got to learn. That stuff you can't be told. You gotta experience it
in the trenches.
Yeah.
It's such a common thing, right? Is somebody's able to build their business to something, small to mid, like sustainable, but then in order to hit that next level of growth, there needs to be significant change. Like, how do you work with the founders of those businesses to sort of get that back so they're willing to take those steps?
Well, it's tough. I mean, honestly, that was one of the reasons I kind of sold one of my platforms. Is I'd focused on it, and I was really customer focused, right? So I worked on it, really tweaked it. It was really good software, worked really great. But to go to the next level, I really needed I needed a sales team. I needed people pushing it. And that's just not, I just don't want to do that. I just don't like doing that. I like building stuff, right? I don't like managing salespeople. So I was like, okay. And I started having some people knock at the door. I'm like, this is popular. I could sell it. And so I found a team that could help me do that, right? And so I sold that to them so they could really help me kind of manage the sales. I'm still involved with them. I have some equity in that new company. I'm still the CTO. So I'm still getting to build it and still getting to manage the software and be customer focused. But I was able to kind of take that step back and be like, okay, I'm holding this back. I need to really like let some sales guys get in here that know what they're doing and kind of take this to the next level. So that was, again, I had to kind of come to Jesus on that one myself, right? And like, okay, maybe I'm not doing this like the best. I should go ahead and, because I was the sales guy. I was doing all the demos. I was doing that. I'm not bad at it, but I'm not a killer. I'm not like a closer, I'm too close to it. So I think, unfortunately, I don't think this is exactly what you do to get out of that situation. I think it takes some time and it takes some thought, and you got to really work through. A lot of people are too close to the problem, so having that third party kind of come in as an advisory role. I can see those things. I've just seen them so much. It's like, oh, okay, here, we just gotta, and it's the same thing with me, right? You coming from an outside, I explain it to you, be like, oh yeah, Kyle, just do that. Boom. So you just get too close in that perspective. I think having someone help from the outside can really help focus that. Unfortunately, there's not like a, hey, do ABC and you're fixed. Maybe there is, and I don't know it, but I haven't experienced that.
I think you're right, though. It's the biggest challenge I feel like for scaling founders is hiring the right talent and accepting that maybe you're not the right talent for these things that are going to be required to get that business to the next stage of its scale, right?
Well, when you start, you are the best at everything because you're the only guy, or you're like, hey, I'm the best sales guys we got. I'm the best at this. But you've got to be able to like realize that you know, you want to hire your own replacements basically and train them, and then kind of get out of that business and get to the point where you're doing strategy, and ideally, you know, like Rob, have the nice shirt, living in the tropics, and, you know, living the dream, right?
Living the dream. Kyle,
That's what we do.
while we have you here, I have to ask, with all this AI intensity, picking up speed and the acceleration that we see coming in the next 5 to 10 years, being something that has a lot of leaders hanging on for dear life, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what your advice would be for those leaders who feel all of that disruption coming, are already navigating everything we've been talking about in terms of the difficulties of scaling a business from startup mode. What would your advice be to those leaders?
I mean, I think for founders, it's great. I think as a startup, you got to lean into it, and it's going to accelerate. You can now do things. We're already running out of humans to do jobs in America, right? Like, we already have a shortage. We need more people. I think this is great. To me personally, I mean, this isn't really I don't think it's that much different than any new technology, right? In the 1900s, we went from people working in the fields, tractors came out, people were scared. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Well, then new technology is gonna kill jobs 100%, but it's gonna spawn a bunch of jobs too. And it's gonna just, again, you have to be able to pivot and lean in and acknowledge that. I think that if you have a job where you're an order taker and someone tells you, hey, do A, B, C, and that's all you do, and you're not creative about that, that's a scary job to have these days. And I think, but I think if you're in management and you're just an order giver and you're just, hey, I just watch people and I tell them exactly what to do, I'm this micromanager, I think that's a scary job to have as well. I think I don't think you can get rid of both of those jobs immediately, but you could have AI do the management, or you could have AI do that. You know, it's generative right now, right? AI is not, it's compiling all the stuff that we've done. So if you can be a creative thinker and you really are a problem solver, working with AI, it can accelerate you. And so I'm not scared of it at all. It's great for me. I love it. I'm using it in my apps. I'm using it on a day-to-day basis. I've not displaced any workers with it. Honestly, I always kind of run my businesses in recession mode. I like constraints, and I like having less, like, I purposely set budgets low. I purposely set timelines tight, because if you say something's going to take 6 months, it's going to take 9 months or a year. So I'm like, well, let's do it in 2 months and see where we can get. Yeah, maybe it takes 4, but hey, we're done faster than 6. So I always kind of run my resources tight. And so for me, it's been great. We've been able to have a tight, small team, but we've been able to kind of accelerate things even a little bit faster using that. So, I mean, I'm in tech. Like I said, I've been an engineer for 25 years. I have to relearn my job every 5 years. So we've got some new technology, and that technology, then we got mobile phones. And so, like, to me, this is just kind of, all right, cool, another thing to do. It's good. I definitely wouldn't stress about it. Like I said, people need to start focusing on the thing that makes us that creative bit, right? That's what AI doesn't have right now. And hopefully it's a bit before we get there with that, like at least 10 years so I can retire before we get there. Then, you know, after that, that's somebody else's problem. But I think we truly are quite a bit of ways from AI having this awakening, right? I think that, but it'll get better and better and better, and it'll be really good at taking stuff and generating things and making stuff better and managing the tasks. You know, like I said, if you're an order taker or order giver right now, I would work on trying to
upskilling.
Yeah, work on your creative abilities there. So, like, one of the things I try to do when I hire people is I sit down and I say, listen, I'm hiring you to make me more effective, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. I need you to come up with ideas, not I have enough problems. Don't bring problems to me. Bring me ideas, right? So, like, if you have a problem, don't come say, hey, how should we fix it? I really teach them to, like, sit down, time box it, take 20, 30 minutes, come up with, like, an easy way to fix it, the right way to fix it, and then kind of like your recommendation. And that I really kind of teach them in that just critical thinking, like, really get that. And after a little bit, they'll be on their own, and then I'm just getting good ideas. You got to really kind of, like, change your mindset. And like I said, be creative. If you're just taking orders now, that would be scary. Scary job, scary times. So don't do that. Fix that if you're doing that.
Kyle, I love that training and development you give to folks. Like, how, for folks that are out there that, like, want to think about using an idea like that, where should they start?
I mean, I don't know where you start. Like I said, for me, it was kind of born out of necessity, right? Like, again, I'm running a tight team. In technology, you're trying to launch something and you've got problems, or, I mean, again, there's 1,000 ways to do something. There's there's ways to do things wrong, but there's a lot of different ways to do them right. I don't want to be the sole idea generator on my team and say like, this is how it is. I think if what I've witnessed is the more, you let people be involved and be creative with it, they're going to naturally work hard. They get involved, they get passionate about it. If I tell somebody, hey, go do this, they're like, fine, I'll do it, but they're not happy about it. But you let someone solve a problem and give you the idea and they're like, cool, make it happen. You won't see them for 12 hours. They'll come back, look, it's awesome. They're all excited about it. You're like, cool. And that's how so it's just kind of been a way to motivate too. It helps motivate them because it's, they're involved in it and they get to help craft a solution. I don't know. It's just be boring taking orders. I mean, that's why I did this freedom, right? I got sick of people telling me what to do. So it's like, do my own thing. So I kind of take that. I have a pretty entrepreneurial like business. I've helped spawn 3 or 4 other companies. I kind of get a guy as an apprentice, show them the ropes, show them how to do this, kind of how to think, how to market it, how to run it tight. Like I'm in the Midwest, so I run a profitable business. I don't like overreach too much, so, but I've shown them how to do that and they leave, like one time we won a startup, my guy convinced me to do this, like, hey, there's a startup competition and we were talking about a new app. He's like, we should put that through there. I'm like, okay, cool. So we did it and then we won. And then he's like, hey, I want to go run that business. So I lost my best developer doing that, but he's still a good friend and I still talk to him and we help each other out. But, it was like, all right, well, yeah, it's time to go. There you go. And so he took that business over and did that. But, so it can hurt sometimes, but the good is if you get somebody with the right spirit, I think that they can, train somebody else up. So I kind of like having that new blood every few years, get a new apprentice, kind of keeps me young, keeps me kind of like on the new technology and stuff. It's easy to get set in your ways. So I don't want to do that.
Kyle, you mentioned it. You're from the Midwest and you run a profitable business. You don't overreach. Budgets are tight. You purposely lower the expectation, or I would guess increase the pressure in terms of the expectations around time.
Yeah.
What is the mindset and mentality driving that? Because I feel like when I listen to that, it's a little bit counter to some of the guests that we've had come through this show. Walk us through that and how it connects to being from the Midwest.
I don't know. I mean, like I live in the city, obviously, but we have a farm that we go to. I don't farm it, but we do fun stuff down there. We hunt and whatnot. And when you're down there, I mean, the nearest neighbor's like 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. Like you've got to be able to get stuff done on your own. Like you can't necessarily rely on somebody coming to save you and stuff. And so I think you just got to kind of learn to do without a little bit sometimes. Like, hey, this is what I got, and I've got to fix it with what I have on hand. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to do. I broke an axle, and I'm out in the woods. If I want to get back, I'm fixing this thing. Like that's it. What do I got? I got a couple tools on hand. I got some sticks. We're going at it, right? So like that was just kind of how I was growing up, and I feel like I like those constraints. Like I said, they kind of focus me. Sometimes there's just too much choice, so you take it back and kind of constrain yourself. I think that's where real creativity comes out of it. It's like they say, I think procrastination is the mother of all like invention, right? You wait. Oh shit, think about when you're in college. You waited till the last minute to write your papers. You absolutely did, right? Yeah. I have 4 months to get this done. Okay, now I've got 16 hours. Let's go. I'm writing a 15-page paper. Let's do it. And you're just
Go time.
Yeah. So I kind of like I said, I think that helps me. Because if I tell myself, I got 6 months to do it, I'm waiting until the 5th month to get it done. I got to kind of get myself going. So that's maybe just as much for me as it is other people.
You mentioned Pareto's principle. That one's Parkinson's principle or law, right? It's like the task at hand will expand to fill the time
allotted.
Your work
will fill exactly. Yeah. So I just try to constrain that because you're going to go over. You're never going to get it done on time. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you do, but you're like, oh, it'd be cool if we did this one more thing. And, it just drags and drags and drags. So you got to kind of keep it tight.
It's interesting because you're talking about motivational strategies in terms of empowering other people's creative ideas and solutions to come to the table. That does drive their motivation and engagement because now they have buy-in in it, right?
Exactly. So if you're going to run guys hard like that, it's hard to just do that from above and like, hey, you got to get this done. They've got to have buy-in to it. They've got to have some passion in it, or it's never going to work. So you've got to give a little bit of that control away and have other people buy in so that they can help kind of push like that. So that's kind of, it's a yin yang. If you just do one of those, if you push real hard but you don't give anybody buy-in, you're going to burn everybody out and they're going to leave. So you gotta,
yeah. And I feel like you playing with the timelines and the pressure there and the arousal in their nervous systems is another way that you're obviously understanding how to drive that arousal and motivation.
Sometimes I'm not driving it. Sometimes I'm getting customers like, oh, but yeah, I mean, I would say in the last few years, I've been more driving that just to kind of stoke some guys. We don't have forever to get this done. We don't have an unlimited budget. We have like this much money and that much time. Make it good. Let's go. So, yeah.
We love it. It's all high performance mindset strategy, right, Rob? He's got buried in all of this.
Yeah.
It's funny when we talk about like this element of like creativity when you're put in a box. I always think about like these cooking shows, and it's like when they say, hey, just make me a dish, and they have unlimited choice. There's so many folks that get seized up and they don't know what to do. But when they're like, you have these 5 ingredients, go, there's always
you get crazy
there's always brilliance right away.
Yeah. Here, pickles are your main thing. Go. And then they just gotta make it work. It's I like that. It's a good analogy for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you could leave our audience of leaders with any final advice, especially for 2025 and beyond, what advice would you leave them with?
Well, I mean, I think we kind of hit on it in the AI section, right? I think you got to lean in. You've got to things are going to be way different real quick. So you're going to have to lean into those. You're going to have to be able to roll the punches, and don't be afraid. I think it's a good thing. I think AI is going to help a lot, especially, like I said, we have a lot of labor shortages already. So don't be scared. New technology, it's going to just lead to whole new jobs, whole new sectors, whole new businesses. Open your mind. Lean in. It's good.
Love that.
Absolutely. And for folks out there, if you want to connect with Kevin or with Kyle, I've dropped Kyle's LinkedIn in the podcast notes, as well as you can check out backupparachute.com. Kyle, can you tell us a little bit about Backup Parachute and what you do?
Yeah, I mean, Backup Parachute at this point is kind of a holding company where I have a couple different SaaS platforms. I sold one of them. We're working on a couple new ones. So I've got kind of an integrations as a service platform, secure transmit. That's going to be, so you can DIY, do business to business integration or workflows, but you can also have Backup Parachute. We'll just go ahead and do that for you. Keep your developers focused on your stuff. Let us do the boring stuff they don't want to do, like integrations. Nobody likes that. I got a couple weirdos we do, so let us do that for you. And then if you go to kylemiller.com, you can schedule a meeting with me. I'm doing advisory work and stuff, like helping, kind of fractional CTO stuff. So if anybody's interested, hit me up.
Amazing. So check out kylemiller.com, backupparachute.com, and follow Kyle on LinkedIn. Obviously, for us, for all things leadership development, one-on-one coaching, and more, head on over to elitehighperformance.com for all of that. Kyle, we have to ask you our biggest and most favorite question to ask on the show. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, my legacy to be. I don't know. I'm trying to raise these kids right. I don't know. I think that's what I've been focused on. And unfortunately I'm in technology, and I think legacies in technology are hard because, like I said, it changes so fast. So all the cool stuff I did 10 years ago, some of it's still running, but it's being phased out and redone and stuff. I'm not making it out of marble. Things aren't staying around forever. I'm making it out of ones and zeros, and they cycle quick. So legacy in business, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Like I said, it's like the ocean, it's just that sand, the beach just washes it away. You build a sandcastle, a couple years later, it's gone. My son thinks he wants to be an engineer. Maybe he'll take over Backup Parachute software, and we'll see. Be about 20 years old at that point. I don't know if it's but hopefully be nice. So shoot for that, I guess.
I love it. So
All right.
good.
All right, guys, it was fun.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Susan, is there anywhere you want to leave folks with today?
I love it. It's so refreshing to have this type of entry point from a Midwestern mindset in terms of all of these. You make it sound so simple, is what I love about you, Kyle, in terms of all of these really complex Leadership 2.0 mindset strategies that we talk about on this show all the time. So yeah, you heard it from Kyle, folks. He goes in and he rescues with his backup parachute all of these startups in crisis mode. And his advice is so simple. You just got to stay agile, adaptive, open-minded. I mean, these are themes that we talk about all the time in terms of the growth mindset on this show.
It's simple. It's not easy, right?
Well,
there's a difference. It's simple to
exactly
say. It's not easy to do.
That's exactly where I was going to land, because I think people get so psyched out about up-leveling their mindset in some of these new school ways. But
Yeah.
I just love being able to break it down in such simple language because it makes it feel a lot more.
It's a lot more approachable than people think it is, I think. That, that's you read the book and they get all excited, but they don't do it. So
Yeah,
I learned
that's
from doing, and that's how I came across a lot of this stuff. Just
yeah.
like I said, scar tissue, doing it.
That's the most important piece that I want to land this plane on, right? Is like, the most complicated part really is people just making that damn choice and just starting to action on it. So I feel like we've really inspired our folks to have no
Hopefully.
excuses today.
All right. Hopefully.
Thank you, Kyle. This was excellent.
All right, guys.
Yeah. And for me, I want to just, like the last few weeks on this show, we had Derek Maines talking about continuous improvement and process improvement. We've had Kyle here talking about, basically rescuing your business. But the common theme here is it's not these super crazy advanced new processes and tools and techniques. It's honestly a lot of basics that have been around for a long time. And it's really, one is getting your mindset in a specific way. And then two is doing small things that lead to improvement over time. And exactly what Kyle just said. It's not complex, but it's hard. And it's just that getting that into habit is really the nuts and bolts. And that habit starts by taking your first step today. So get out there, take your first step. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you all another time this week.
Bye, everyone.